One example of this, who I've grown huge respect and admiration for, is the Chung-Li creator Akiman, or Akira Yasuda, stating it bluntly. I'm worried that the woke movement might suddenly erupt across the anime world, which is just based knowing the amount of backlash to come your way from such an honest statement. There was a post on X/Twitter that recently went viral with a meme displaying one man against a crowd holding firm to his stance, with the post asking, which anime opinion will you have like this? And to that I said, anime as a medium, not just an anime, is incompatible with the global audience, a view that can be seen as controversial depending on who's reading it, but something I not just believe but seen play out through many examples, whether it's through corrupt localization, those who can't distinguish between fiction and reality, those who see Japanese media as something to be used and needs to have its cultural roots pulled away, and that Japanese characters, depictions, and cultural language needs to be globalized, all to cater to the modern audience, which in return would only strip away the reason fans love it to begin with. And if Japanese creators don't succumb to these requirements, in their eyes, harassment, cancellation, and death threats are all justified, as we've seen with many creators facing this. And throughout this whole video, I'll give examples of each, which makes me worried for the future of not just Japanese media, but creativity, art, and entertainment as a whole. But first, to prevent this dystopian outcome of art that resembles Shimoneta in a way, it's going to take those who are the fans and have some leadership power to make it their duty to protect what so many already cherish, like this lovely woman, Japan's minister Kimi Onada, who recently did a live appearance defending anime and manga from fake fans overseas who wish to impose themselves onto the medium, being the cry-bullies they are, demanding changes and have its perceived problematic elements erased from it all. So let's go through it. This is totally different from today's topic, but as a country, no matter what we make, we should send it overseas. Now, me personally, I don't know about if should is the right word, but maybe considered is better. And even if it sparks controversy, we should show a stance of firmly protecting our content. I totally agree, because at this point, it's like trying to ward off invaders who seek to conquer your culture, your way of doing things, which has a lot of history behind it. That's not even hyperbolic, I really mean that. Even in a previous video of mine, I've shown influencers trying to force their ideals on a different culture and society that Japan is.
She also kind of advocates a lot for feminism here in Japan.
People love to say like, oh, you're a white woman. I'm like, yeah, but I'm hoping that the more I talk about these things, we'll start to see more Japanese people and foreigners alike come together and think, okay, well, clearly this is not the exact image of Japan I had. And that's a good thing because it means that we can see what we have to change.
They only see Japan not as a country, homeland for Japanese people, but as ground to be gained to further their own influence. Now more than ever, a staunch and, as Minister Kimi stated, a firm stance needs to be had to protect Japan from these activist leeches. When exporting content, we do things like localization and translation, and people overseas see versions adapted to their culture and think Japan is interesting, then come to see the original Japanese version and react like, what the hell is this? This is outrageous. Because they were never fans to begin with. When I consume anime, I excitedly look forward to experiencing Japanese culture, being fully immersed in it. The architecture, fashion, the way of speaking, which differs from our own, addressing people by their last name, whether peers or elders. And if you mention them by first name, that means something significant or a level of familiarity with that person or peer. And especially the humor, the tropes that easily offends the people she is addressing. Fans, especially Japanese fans, should unapologetically defend it with the mentality of take it or leave it. This is Japan's and belongs to the Japanese people. It's not yours. Take that spoiled brat child syndrome somewhere else. When we get backlash because overseas audiences have become aware of it, we should say, this is Japan. And as I said in the live stream, there is where you had me at this is Japan.
I love you.
Will you marry me?
Holy shit.
And as a country, take a firm stance so creators can freely do what they want. I think that kind of resolve is necessary. This is really important. It is so refreshing to hear this kind of conviction in today's world, that citizens of said homeland declare what is theirs rather than feeling some type of guilt trip like it's evil to want to preserve your own country and culture. Too many I see today have fell victim to ideological subversion, believing it's evil and wrong to want to practice and preserve your own culture, and that it's righteous and benevolent to practice and accept someone else's. We see many studios falling prey to the latter, accepting the ideology of global audience to attract that foreign Western dollar. But Minister Kimi Onoda believes the opposite. No matter how much the UN tries to demonize anime, now trying to weasel their way into it like they loved it all along, or how the easily offended activist-minded "this isn't politically correct, you can't say that" types complain, Japan must stand firm against them. Protect your culture, your art, what gives you your identity. Something I admired since I was a kid, immediately seeing that this is something different than what I was used to watching. And I would hate to see it turned into a clone of what everything else is, especially in modern day, which is plain failure. One example of this, who I've grown huge respect and admiration for, is the Chun-Li creator Akiman, or Akira Yasuda, stating it bluntly. "I'm worried that the woke movement might suddenly erupt across the anime world," which is just based knowing the amount of backlash to come your way from such an honest statement, with someone responding, "You literally designed a black femboy in 1999. I honestly hope that someone as creative as you rejects the conservative and reactionary mindset." To which he responded, "I just stick to the work itself. I don't impose my own political stance onto the work." Again, this is very refreshing to see a creator not fold or bend over to the usual accusations. This is a true creative where the work, the art, and the creativity is prioritized. Unlike the activists where politics is all that matters. People like this user are all too common. They AMTs, activist-minded types. They only see black characters, even if they're just tan, they will force them to be seen as black. Gay characters, cross-dressers, a character with a disability, etc. Not as characters within a story, but only as political pawns to be used in conversation, obsessing over the surface level identity, very much like in real life. If you want art, entertainment to be entertaining and not politicized by the AMTs, then this user labels you as conservative, when really, you're just a true fan that is sick of these types invading fandoms, franchises, and industries enforcing change to fit their belief systems.
何色仕掛け
The ongoing trend of needing to problematize anime is also why it's incompatible with a global audience. The reason why it functions well as a niche interest, but chips away at itself the moment it wants to expand to a wider audience. Common accusations of this or that anime being sexist or misogynistic have invaded fandom discussions, where it's becoming more common defending anime from the global audience types than just having fun fan conversations.
Questions asking, do you think there is sexism in Bleach? And honestly, hell no, there isn't, in my opinion. Bleach has a bunch of female roles that are strong and they are well written, that actually contribute to the plot a lot. You got Rukia, you got Unohana. Yororichi is one of the bigger ones. Harabelle's another one, even though she's an Espada. Rangiku. All of them have a major purpose in the plot, and they're well written. And on top of that, they're strong, independent women, bro. So no, I don't think there's sexism in Bleach.
Now shout out to this dude for defending Bleach, but the fact that this is even a type of conversation being had proves my point. No fan when discussing anime asks if it's sexist or not. As soon as you get that type of question, they should be mocked, ridiculed, made fun of, or just ignored. But these perspectives have become rampant now, like this. Bleach is a great manga, but it does have misogynistic undertones. Not even the two main female characters, Rukia or Orihime, are free from it, let alone the side characters. You can appreciate a story while pointing out valid criticisms. These are activist-minded criticisms, not fan criticism. It's become all too common nowadays to criticize shonen, a male demographic. I swear, people think shonen is the only thing that exists in anime. For prioritizing the male characters, and if the women cast aren't given enough screen time or character development as the male cast, sexism, misogyny are the go-to criticism. Another reason why anime doesn't fit with the global audience, because it attracts these types, or worse, which I've been contemplating lately, like who's worse, it turns longtime fans into these same types, converted to where they adopt Taurus-like behavior. Because the idea that different stories cater to different demographics primarily is considered discriminatory story in the current Western world, especially when gender roles are highlighted and displayed. As written in this book accusing Naruto of sexism and misogyny, titled Manga's Cultural Crossroads by Jacqueline Burnett and Bettina Mamboire. They're German. I'm not familiar with these names, but just know they're feminists. That's all you need to know. Naruto's biggest weakness is not respect for the elders or time-honored values. Rather, it is its clinging to astonishingly anachronistic gender roles. Its representation suggests that men are men and okay, women are women, yeah, God forbid, and that they differ naturally in regard to aptitude and vocation. Sakura and the other female characters in Naruto appear to be molded on a surprisingly outdated stereotype. Sakura, Ino, and Hinata, shout out to Hinata and the heavies, make love their highest priority in a considerable number of scenes. Tsunade, again shout out to the heavies, is basically portrayed as a mother figure. Sakura, suddenly showing a new tense expression, starts to make efforts to also become a medical ninja herself, with Tsunade as her teacher. Yet, the fact remains that the site where female ninja can show their capabilities is the field of healing and not the battlefield, which leads to the impression that Naruto rests on outmoded gender roles.
So?
But speaking of Hinata, for this video I decided to dedicate a sketch to her character despite the feminist hate she receives. She's top tier waifu for sure. Now I'm not totally satisfied with it, to be honest. I think I got way too ahead of myself with the coloring in and shading and messed it up a bit with that. The neck area was way too dark blending in with her hair, so I decided to erase it. But by doing that, I kinda added a cool little shading effect there unintentionally, so that's a technique I learned by accident. But like I said, I'm learning little by little each day, sketching here and there. Also liking you guys' drawings you send me during my live streams through Discord, so always shout out to y'all. But if you want to begin drawing as well, I tagged a basic sketchbook and toolkit similar to mine in this video. I still had to experiment with the various items through trial and error in the toolkit, but regardless, I always appreciate the love. Now back to the video. This has really plagued any discussion, not just in anime, but all fandoms, falling right in line with the UN's criticism accusing anime of promoting gender stereotypes and violence against women and children, buzzwords that attract the useful idiots. Wherever there's a demographic that's mainly male dominated, it's assumed there's something nefarious and evil going on behind the scenes. The same mentality that has destroyed Star Wars with the Force's female Kathleen Kennedy bullshit. Not every character can be the main character. Not everyone is going to have the same amount of character development and screen time. You'll get chaos, arcs, and plots that drag on forever. And since shonen caters to males primarily, it should be no surprise that the male cast gets the most time. And this is exactly the point I've addressed in my previous video. This ideology will destroy anime and manga, where Western feminism looks down on feminine women characters who are written to embrace their femininity of nurturing and healing. Something these feminist writers hate to see and are working overtime to rid from anime and manga. A woman character being in love? Problematic. A woman character having healing abilities? Toxic. Something I remember Zoe Kravitz getting annoyed because Robert Pattinson and some other guy were talking about Final Fantasy and how Aerith has healing abilities and how that's problematic.
My fella was in love as well. In love with Aerith and Tifa. But it's the two sides. It's the two options of girls you can have. This.
You don't know Final Fantasy? No.
It's the best.
You're judging us.
I'm not. I'm standing back and allowing you two to have.
It's a love triangle where Aerith or Aerith, depending on what version of the game you have, sometimes it's mistranslated. She's like the really kind girl who has her superpower is like to like heal everyone and like make the world a better place.
Poor women, we have to heal everyone.
And you're like, I can't decide. And then it never, that's the ideal woman, and it never gets any,
Either the one that's gonna heal everything or the one in the short skirt. The one that's gonna heal everything or the one in the short skirt. These are the options. Oh my God.
That's a real life example of how these people respond to such a character.
The one that's gonna heal everything or the one in the short skirt.
A woman character being feminine and not acting like a man at all times is hell on earth to these types. And don't let them be attractive on top of that, like this user posted implying Bleach is full of misogyny. What do you expect when the fans talk about the female characters like this? And underneath is a picture of the women of Bleach all in swimsuits.
Hell yes.
This is considered problematic to the Western world. Fan service. Beautiful, attractive women with amazing feminine physiques is like the antichrist to these folks. Fan service is part of anime and is why it's incompatible with the Western world and global audience, because they constantly look to censor it. A random example is like with this game, Turtles Tournament Fighters, where the backside was less revealing and jiggle physics stripped away from the US version, while the Japanese version remained intact. A perfect example. Fans want the authentic version as Japanese creators intended, while global audience types prefer sanitized, watered down, politicized, non-Japanese versions. Something that went viral not too long ago was one of the worst localizations going in the record books, where Japanese game Union Syndrome Rhythm Psychosis had the word Yamero, which means stop it, translated to end fascism, and command spell translated to I'll never be victimized by fascism again. And as Alex, a regular in my live stream shout out, said, how do you go from point A to point what the fuck?
What kind of shit is that?
Headcanon, wanting something to be what it's actually not and hating what it already is something these folks are known for. The overly politicized brain is ever growing, unable to process entertainment without ideologies and injecting them everywhere to everyone. Defending anime from the global audience type seems ongoing at this point. The incompatibility keeps being highlighted with its growing popularity. The fact that if I say Yoko or Marine is waifu or fighting against censorship of fan service could potentially get you doxxed, sent death threats, all for fictional characters, which has become routine for Chibi reviews. I mean, it's a shame that he constantly has to go through it. I mean, it just shows you the insanity of all of this. And it shows that anime just clearly isn't for everyone. Because even with the different genres of stories that cater to different tastes, people act like there's only one genre or demographic of anime exists. If this one offends you, you can watch something else. So if I watch Gurren Lagann or Dress Up Darling and comment on how Yoko and Marine are hot with the heavies, more jiggle physics please, or any anime where lollies exist, women characters that have A cups not drawn as the most voluptuous as other women characters, people will look at me like I just committed a crime.
What?
And this shows there's a growing number of people who just can't distinguish between reality and fiction. Like when I look at anime characters, I don't see real people. Just like when I used to spray random people in True Crimes of LA, those good times. I didn't see the NPCs as real people that I was gunning down just going crazy in the game. I knew that I was playing a video game, just like I know when I'm watching an anime. I don't know where this diseased-like mindset came from of people who truly are unable to distinguish between reality and fiction, but it has spread like an epidemic in the West. Like here's an example of somebody complaining about Dandadan. Why is this mangaka obsessed with drawing 16-year-olds naked in every chapter? Or I've left Dandadan at the part where the alien teach wanted to find the Dandadan, if I remember correctly. I do hate how, let's say, R-worded or grapey this series is. There's no need for it. You could display the horror of being chased by an alien in a different way. A question for the ones that have kept reading is, it's still a mind F wacky stuff, or has it stabilized? Because I love the weird chaotic conspiracy stuff. The Western mind has been so coddled and fanalized, unable to handle anything. Sense of humor is a foreign concept. Basic imaginative thinking while reading or watching entertainment without relating it directly to the real world is a rarity. Certain mature adult themes should be stripped away from anime like Goblin Slayer, but when it comes to live action shows where actual real life adults play underage characters, which I always say was always a running joke in the 90s where you had 30-year-olds playing high school characters, I believe these same types have no problem with it. It's just the selective outrage is what's weird to me when it's applied to drawings rather than real people, like Riverdale, Vampire Diaries, and especially Euphoria with underage characters going nude, being sexually, shout out Sydney Sweeney with the heavies. It was a frequent occurrence, which is why I agree with this user pointing this out. People will watch these trashy Western live action shows with actors depicting teens engaging in all kinds of horror behaviors and then go on social media to rant about how Japanese media is too problematic to remain uncensored.
Thank you!
And this is something that I've addressed in my video titled The Fiction vs. Reality Debate in Anime is Stupid, where I give a full breakdown of live action shows having adult characters playing high school characters and why that logic isn't applied to anime, where that logic is much more easier to apply because it's drawings to begin with and not real people.
It's not fucking real, right?
But all of this goes to my point. Anime wasn't intended as a whole to cater to global appeal. Its taste is for niche fans who understand the humor within anime, the tropes, the language, the implications without needing to have everything spelled out like a disclaimer to appease the easily offended every 5 seconds. Anime and manga are for those who discovered anime and manga organically, not just because you saw a group of people loving it from afar and that alone made you want to join in because you suffer from FOMO. But since it doesn't suit your sensibilities, you now want to change it when no one asked you to join in the first place. I recently was rewatching the HBO show Entourage, and there's an episode that stuck out to me that was related to all of this. For those that don't know, Entourage is about an upcoming movie star in Hollywood and him and his best friends he grew up with, and it was heavily influenced by Mark Wahlberg's rise in Hollywood. And in this episode, he's faced with the dilemma between an indie passion project he's worked on and the studio's intentions for it. A movie that was shot all in black and white, adding to its mystique, dramatic noir feel, but the studio wants to add color to it, all to appeal to a broader audience.
And with this version, we will attract a much broader audience. And isn't that what making movies is all about?
Well, actually, I mean, it's an art film. The only way you know it's good is if most people hate it.
Which in return commercializes it and turns it into a different film altogether from what the director and him envisioned for it.
How could they ruin a great movie like that?
They're fucking animals and they need to be put to sleep.
So he's faced with the choice: keep the artistic integrity and identity of the indie film intact, or strip it away all to appeal to a broader audience.
Why have those eyes if people can't see them, Vince?
I didn't make this movie to show off my eye coloring.
I love your passion, but trust me, there's nothing unartistic about making money.
Now, I won't spoil it, it's a good episode, but the point of me bringing this up is this is the same dilemma anime is facing, well, all Japanese media is facing right now. Keep the integrity, artistic freedom in place to create what you desire, or sacrifice it all to appeal to a broader, wider, global audience. Choose wisely. But that's all I have for this video. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. I hope the majority of creators choose wisely in the upcoming future. Understand who your fans are and those who pretend to be, constantly making demands of your work out of being offended and nothing more. A struggle session I hate the author Go4 Nakamura recently succumbed to, apologizing to these types. All she did was pour blood into the water full of sharks, now seeing her as prey and a puppet to be handled all the way now. And I really feel bad for her because she didn't see the overwhelming support she received and instead bowed down to the backlash, apologizing for her fictional story and characters to those who don't deserve her creativity. These tiny, mini, tyrannical cry bullies, but let that be an example of what the global audience looks like. Nothing but a source that will bring you pure misery if you try to appease them. Also, if you want to support me and the content I create, consider joining my channel and becoming a member. It's much appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Free think. Peace.